Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first of our Team England player profiles. These are going to be some interviews we're doing with the entire England squad before they head off to the WTC to let you, the listener, know a little bit about who they are, what they're about, their 40k backgrounds and careers, and a little bit of fluff and lore and narrative in there as well, because I insisted. And that's what we're going to be having. So it's Tom Lohman, the England astropath here. Very excited to get started. And I'm, of course, starting with the captain, because you have to, right? You've got to get the captain in.
100%.
It was the only acceptable answer. Got to get it right. And also it frees him up to then worry about other things going forwards as well.
I'm done.
Tony, how are you doing, man? You right?
Yeah, great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Right. Okay. Let's get into this. So we're going to start with a general introduction. Introduce yourself and hold a bit back, keep a bit back. But introduce, if you're going to introduce yourself out of the blue to someone, who is Tony Chu? What's this about?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tony. I'm the captain of Team England. This is my first year as captain, but I've been vice captain for, I've been going to WC for 11 years, was vice captain for 9.
Wow.
And I was captain for 1. So I've been playing 40k ever since I was 6. I have played all sorts of factions along the way. I've played Marines, Orcs, Eldar, Tau, Guard, Chaos, Admech, I'm just thinking that's what I've got in there. Demons, Thousand Suns. I think I've played every faction.
Oh my word!
I've done Tyranid bits in my Tyranid and Space Marine Hunter list. I've been there. I've done it. I've done loads of singles events. I've done loads of teams events, and you know what? And here I am, captain of Team England. And I would say that. Do you know what? I'm here because I think the WTC is probably my favourite part of 40k. Yeah. It's been that way for a long time, but I think it's such a fantastic event. So, hence, you've got me here talking about it tonight.
Amazing. Well, that passion shines through, so that's good to hear. Didn't realise you played quite that many armies. That's obscene, but it makes me feel better. I've got room to grow.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
It's a shed full of models, quite literally.
Well, that's what we've all got to aspire to, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't needed to build a new building to put it in, have you done it right? All right. My next question is, when did you first start competing in 40k? Was that an immediate thing? Were you always competitive?
Do you know what? No, I think I fell out of 40k. I played 40k when I was a teenager. I fell out a little bit, and then when I was at uni, I started playing again, and I went to my first tournament, and I quite enjoyed it. And I didn't do terribly well or anything, but I was like, oh, okay. And then I was living down in Essex near Colchester, and I found a game club, started playing there. There was a little group of guys they were really competitive guys, but it was either the FUF players didn't really take 40k seriously at all, and the games weren't any challenge, or those guys. And I quickly got in with them, and I'm still friends with pretty much all of them today. And one or two of them still play 40k and will message me now and go, what about this army? But but that group, we started going to tournaments, we started trying around. That was when Games Workshop were doing their heats and finals events. So I got to go to Warhammer World, and that, again, at the time, that was going to play a tournament. Warhammer World was amazing, and there was a final, and it was like, if there's a heat of 100, the top 25 players qualified. So it was then you knew what you needed. The way they scored that event, you knew what you needed to get into the top 25. So it was really competitive all the way through, and that whole thing was great. And I remember at the time I got to a certain point, and I was enjoying those events, and I wanted to keep challenging myself and growing, and I was enjoying 40k as a hobby. And I found this picture of the guy with the Kroot army that scouted to block the table edge. And if you ever gone and found that picture online, I think it's a French player, and he's like this, and he's deployed his Kroot and scouted them in the old Dawn of War, where you could put the whole army in reserve. The Space Marine player hasn't realised it. If the guy blocks his whole board edge, his army's dead. And the picture's getting the thumbs up. A ref with the rule book going, what the hell? And the guy's literally like hands on head going, I just lost the game, 20-0. Oh my god! And it was like, what is this event? WTC, and it was tagged like WTC wherever it was. And I found out about it. I started the forum at the time, signed up, and from there it was a spiral of me slowly trying to go to events. Found Josh Roberts at the time, introduced myself, found the England guys, Rob Sims, Paul Burke, started playing them. And I had to spend a year just going to tournaments and trying to build myself as a tournament player. And I made it in, really, my first year of playing. And then it's
nice.
No looking back.
And then never look back. Amazing. Yeah. What was it like adapting to become a teams player? What sorts of things did you have to do differently, or how did the way you see the game change?
I think we still see this now with lots of players who apply for Team England. That when you're a singles player, you're worried about how do I beat every single army in the meta, or at least give myself the tools to do it. And I think there's two things with teams play. One, you don't need to beat every army, so you
No.
can adapt your army to go, okay, I would normally put this tech in to give me a chance against this army, but if this army just beats me and gives me a chance to get points, and I rely on them, that player making a mistake, you can go, well, I'll take that out. If, for example, it's an indirect artillery piece, and you put it in because you want to beat Eldar, but you could beat everything else but Eldar, just don't play Eldar. That's a side of a liberating side of Team 40k. That means you can start to go, one, your list with building is different, but two, you can start to go, what do I want my list to do? Do I want my list to play everybody? Do I want my list to just get draws? Do I want my list to consistently get 8 or 9 WTC points? So you lose every game, but you lose every game by like 10 points.
Yeah, you're never getting beat much.
Yeah, you're never getting beat much. You go, I'm going to go fixed, or I'm going to be hard to kill, or I'm going to be just impossible to move objectives. And you go, okay, you start to have a completely different focus, I think, on how you play the game. And that is probably where I've had an discovery about what I really love about 40k. And I love the list building. I love the finding a new combination. Not that it's the best, most broken combination. And I think there's lots of singles players who say that and do that and go to tournaments and take the next power build. I've never really played that way. I want to run stuff that's cool. And I do think when you hit something for the first time, you don't know how to play it.
Yeah.
In singles events, that's how you win games. But teams events, you don't have that. So you have to be able to outskill your opponent by knowing your army inside out, playing it really well, and having the right things to win those games. So I think it's just it definitely shifted my approach completely. When I started playing teams.
And it's once you've gone down that road, it doesn't seem like many ever come back, right? They fall in love with it big time.
Yeah, I think that's the guys who go to WTC always say when they come back, oh God, I love that so much, I definitely want to go again, because it's like somehow hanging on the round because you want that your opponent, so you're playing your team to get 4 points out of a game.
Yeah.
And they get 6 and you've won the round, you're like, oh my God. And equally you needed 4 and they got 3 and you lost the round. Like the emotional highs and lows, it adds a whole different depth to, oh, I played this guy with Necrons and I can't beat Necrons, so I lost. Went to the bar, got a drink. It's just a completely different I suppose motivator, really.
That's it. Yeah, no, I think so, and I think it's incredibly social, and the camaraderie is very real as well, right? So, what would you say, Tony, is your 40k play style?
Oh, I love right. I would say it's a combination of speed and aggression. I sound like Dr. Disrespect. I like a play style where I can control the flow of the game, and I can control how and where I engage. I don't like to be on the back foot, and I don't like static lists that just kind of go, here's my army.
Yes.
So I want something that's got a movement component, got a movement element, has the ability to, drop in and out, redeploy, jump 24 inches across the board. Hence the Eldar build that I've been playing loads this year, which is loads of Aspect Warriors, the Horus unit, my favourite unit in the game, I think, which, the unit advances 20 inches, then it moves fire and fade 6, then fire and fade's 14 inches, and you're like, I've moved 30 odd inches, and I'm now on your home objective, scoring capture, and I've got grenades along the way. Like, it's just silliness.
It's ridiculous.
But I love armies like that where opponents they know what it does, and they understand that, and you can explain it to them, but then to see it, you can outskill them in that regard.
Completely.
And I don't like passive lists that just kind of sponge damage. I'm not a Custodes player. I don't want to run a load of Wardens with a 4+ with a 4+.
Shots fired, guys.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a play style.
I'm with you though. It's the speed, it's the agency to affect things and make things happen, right? That's exciting.
You're a Dark Eldar player. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm one of your people. Don't get me wrong. I fully get it. I've obviously playing Votan earlier in this year. I was just like, man, they're so slow. Yeah. What am I doing to myself?
I think you pick up some armies and you go, oh, I really love the models, or I love the fluff, and you play one game and you go, it's not the army for me.
No,
do you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, knowing your play style is important and knowing what you like, for sure. What would you say, Tony, is your proudest 40k career moment?
I think there has to be. I mean, I've only won the WTC once, and not many players have, but to win it was a really big deal.
Amazing.
We always get a lot of stick for that win that year because we had Nick Nanavati as a merc from Team America.
Naughty.
Good. Well, Nick wasn't playing for the team, and he contacted Josh and said, I'd love to go. Is there any chance I could merc for you guys? And we were like, yeah, because the rules allow you to have a merc. And they've since tightened it. because of us. So now you have to have like you have to be an approved mercenary, well, so
Yeah.
the big nations can't go out and go, oh, this player is not playing for their national team this year. Do you want to come play for us?
Yeah.
But even with Nick, we had a really strong team, players that everybody would know. I think in terms of name, Manny, Josh, Mike Porter, Matt Robertson. Loads of really good players. James Ramsey. That year, we beat all of the top teams, the top seeded teams, on our way to winning it, and it just clicked. And I think it's so hard to win that event. No team will give you that for free, whether you have the best merc in the world or not. They're not rolling over, and especially nowadays, it's even more difficult to be the best team.
Yeah,
it's why every year there's just as a chance that someone else is going to come back and win it. So this year, Poland won last year, Australia won the year before, America's going to come back strong. France were really
it feels
well
very
Germany
spicy.
going. It's great, yeah, and to win it when then as well we had a big bullseye on our head because we're Team England.
Yes,
so that was really special.
Absolutely.
I'll never forget that one, but it would be lovely to win it again.
Again, so he's stashing as his proudest career moment is potentially still ahead, is what he's suggesting here. I like that.
I think to win
that's a really healthy way of looking at it. To win it
in my first year as captain would be chef's kiss.
That would be pretty
amazing.
Damn good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But let's just. I'll take a podium. I'm not. I'm not big-headed. Yeah,
Don't be too greedy. Don't be too greedy. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. We're going to take it towards a slightly more fluffy place now, Tony. So, what is your favourite 40k army and why?
My favourite 40k army, right? My favourite one. My first 40k army.
Yeah.
Is different to my favourite army, and that's an interesting one.
Okay.
My favourite 40k army.
Okay.
Is probably Genestealer Cults.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Because we were talking about some of the questions we could do for this, and I know first was that, but my favourite 40k army is Genestealer Cults because I have everything in Genestealer Cults because the models are so cool. And I just remember when they updated those model sets, they're just such lovely models.
They're stunning,
and I really loved the playstyle that I had for them for a long time. So I think that's one of my favourites. They've just been absolutely butchered in the last couple of books, etc. They had this brief thing, and I got to run them when at Warhammer Fest, and I had an MSU like jank build that nobody else was running. Loved that.
Yeah.
I do have a soft spot for my Eldar because I love the Aspect Warriors, and I grew up thinking that they were great. But I think the current model line, the model sets, it's probably the Cult.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're really, really cool. Well, fingers crossed for that book. Maybe that's
apart from the new fat-headed Psycho model they've got coming out. What the hell is that? It's like
that one. I'd say I don't think any GSC players were like, "Oh, great!" Another.
I'm hoping that it's the paint job. I'm hoping, like sometimes the GW paint jobs don't do justice. I'm hoping that I can go. I can make that look a bit better.
You've got to hope. You've got to hope that that's the one. Okay, all right.
Non-oil.
What is your favourite model you've ever painted and why?
So my favourite model I've ever painted is probably a converted. It sounds really bad actually now when I think about it. It was a Saint Celestine, but I didn't like the Saint. It was the little Saint Celestine like holding a dove, going, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Actually, that just looks ridiculous." So I converted this big butch dude from like an Infinity model that had two old metal wings for a Demon Prince. So he's like this big, and he's like, "This is Saint Celestine with a massive hammer and a built-in underslung heavy flamer," and I'm like. That's the saints that I want to come save me. I don't want doves to fly into the face of the Incubi and stab them and like peck them to death. I want this dude to come with a hammer and go bang. So I ran that with a list at the time that was I ran this at a Home Nations event. 3 Grey Knight Drone Masters in baby carriers, 2 Storm Ravens, Celestine, and some assassins.
Amazing.
That was
ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous.
So people were like, "So you've got planes in reserve. The guys can jump across. You've got Celestine who doesn't die." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is great. Let's go."
So good.
That was such a good army.
So good. Okay, who is your favourite 40k character?
Okay, probably the greatly hard done by Cypher.
Cypher, nice one for
that man was so hard done by in the Artillery stuff. He finally made it to the Emperor, and they were like, "No access." You know, and I'm like, "Come on!" Like that feels like the classic thing when they get like to a series finale, and then the writer's like, we didn't know what to do there, so we sent him away again. And like he's been traveling around the universe trying to get to the Emperor, and he finally gets there, and it's like denied.
Brutal. Yeah, brutal. He's such a
So
cool character.
I mean, the new rule set for him looks amazing, where it's like Cypher shoots 8 pistols, and in combat he fights with 8 pistols. I'm like, yes, they've completely nailed it.
That's what it's about.
Is it a novel or a fluff where like somebody gets saved by Cypher on a ship that's Dark Eldar attacking, and Cypher's just like bam, bam, you're dead. It's very John Wick in space.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves as Cypher. There's
That's
a film
it.
casting.
That's it.
Sort it out, Cavill.
That would be very, very cool.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Yeah, he's awesome. Okay, fantastic. Right, final question for you, Tony. What are you most excited about for this year's WTC?
I think we've always got a strong team as Team England, and we always pick the best players available. But I think we've got a really great dynamic this year. I'm really excited just to get us into that first game when we get everybody there and you get the excitement of because the way it works is it's one game on the Thursday followed by it used to be 3 on the first day and then 2.
Right.
So now it's 1 on the Thursday evening, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, and you almost want to get over the hump of that first game. That first game Thursday evening is terrible because you spend the whole day just kind of like it's like waiting for an interview or something like that. It's like, give me the game. Just want the game out of the way. I want to go, and it's your pod game as well. So it's probably against the team that will be top ranked in a pod. So it'll be the bottom ranked team in the pod. We should win that game, but everybody needs to get the jitters out. I think we've got such a good group of players, and the team around us. Well, we've got some fantastic coaching and support staff that we've picked this year who very much have been picked to have a role rather than we're just bringing a big old entourage.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get everybody in and see us do that first pairing, see that first round in motion. And I know it's going to work well, but I think we'll come away from that feeling afterwards is just relief.
Yeah,
I'm excited to get there and see there. I mean, if you've never been to WTC, it's just the energy from the room. And we've always been tournaments nowadays with the UKTC events and ITT, but there's just something slightly different about WTC.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see that for the first time as part of the old comms team.
Yes,
so it's going to be really exciting. All right, Tony, thank you very much. You've nailed the questions. You passed the test. You can continue to be the captain.
Thank you.
That was the unspoken subtext, but
I didn't know that we gave you that power with but you've obviously
got to be really careful what you agree to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We will be back again. I'll have to decide who we're next getting on. There's got a couple in mind, but we'll work that out.
Some likely lads who you can get on.
Yeah, there's a couple of big names that you feel like you should probably start with and make sure you do your dues. And so please do remember, guys, to support the Team England community page on Facebook, and there's also the Team England Discord you can go and get involved in as well. Obviously, do hit like and subscribe, and we'll be sharing this around all over on the 6++ socials and everything else as well. So please do continue to support us on there. Wonderful. Tony, thanks so much. And everybody, we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.